Thanks. Okay, good morning. I want to welcome Omni for attending this press conference. Today is United Nations Day, and in 1945, on October 24th, the UN was born, and the mission was to bring countries together and address the world's problems. In the spirit of UN's vision, this morning I am making an announcement to address one of the world's problems, and that's the world organ and tissue donation shortage. Organ transplantation is relatively a new but very successful medical practice. It was actually in 1912 when Dr. Alexis Carrel was recognized with a Nobel Prize for his pioneer work in this area. There was actually no transplantation that were actually done during that time, but he had the vision and foresight to make it happen. The good news is that for the past 25 years, millions of people benefit by having their lives saved and living healthily afterwards. The bad news is that there's probably about 1 million people waiting for organ and tissue donations throughout the world, and every other minute, someone is dying in need of these gifts. So as we go through this press conference, there's probably 15 people that are going to die because they didn't receive an organ transplant. This issue needs a global stage to bring the much needed medical technology and awareness. And then I believe that we can solve this problem worldwide. This morning, I am introducing step-by-step 7th campaign, and that the name of the campaign is SOS 1 Million, the World Student Torch Relay. I would like first to shed some background on step-by-step and my personal role in it. In 1992, I found out that I had terminal liver disease and had 2 years left to live. It was during this time that I started devoting my time to organ and tissue donations. Every day I would try and learn something new about this issue, and I was determined to find out as much as possible in Canada and worldwide. In 1994, the world and myself found out about Spain's successful approach in addressing this issue. I have been impressed with Spain's system ever since. I was fortunate enough to have a good general physician during this time, which led me to excellent care and in me eventually receiving a liver transplant in 1995. It's at this point that I want to make another point about this issue. There are presently over 4,000 people in Canada that are waiting for organ transplants. And from all my experiences since 1992, I have determined that the number is probably 10 times that amount. And so what I'm saying is that there's probably close to 25,000, 30,000 people that should be on a waiting list as candidates to receive organ transplants. And I'll give my reason for this. I know how hard it is when you are told or you're told that you have some serious disease concerning one of your organs, and getting treated for any of these diseases is based on what kind of healthcare system we have here in Canada. Now, our problem is that if you're seeing a general physician, the wait time is extremely long before you see that specialist that you should be seeing, and the nature of your disease won't be probably diagnosed, and you'll probably never know that you could have been a candidate to become to be a candidate for the organ waiting list. And we have to look at our numbers. There are close to 100,000 people that are dying every year of heart-related diseases, 60, 70,000 people that are dying of diabetes, and close to that number of people that are dying of cancerous. And then there's other smaller figures of numbers of people that are dying of organ-related diseases. Now, how could it be that all these people, were they all notified that at one point or another maybe they could have been on a waiting list? And I think we have to look at this very seriously, because my belief is that instead of 44,000, I think there should be more closer to 25, 30,000 people that should be on this waiting list. So getting back to where I left off, shortly after my transplant, I created, step by step, a charitable organization. I humbly walked about 15,000 kilometers in total. From the first step that I took in 1997 in the first campaign to 100 million steps, and recently my sixth campaign in 2008, I and many volunteers brought this issue to the forefront by reaching the public, media, and government and making them aware about the importance of organ donations. During this period, we visited over 500 communities, and during this time, we participated in over 4,000 activities, including press conferences, provincial and federal health committees, school assemblies, church gatherings, community events, etc., etc., etc. Every day, I personally have engaged in countless debates, consultations, and research regarding this issue. I want to take this opportunity to shed light on the Spanish system, which I earlier talked about. It was during the first campaign in 1997 that I started talking about Spain's approach to their organ shortage. I continued talking about their system, and soon it was making national headlines. I would like to share some of my insight to get the record straight on this system and how Canadians feel about it. First of all, from all my experiences talking to Canadians about Spain's system, the response has been that they are in favor of this system. And I have literally talked to millions of Canadians throughout the last 12 years. There has been, however, a lot of misconceptions about Spain's system, including the name that's been used by critics and the media to describe it. And they use the name presumed consent. This term alone is misleading and destroys any attempt to accurately define this successful system. It puts a negative connotations when they see a headline that says presumed consent. It's like the government's going to own your body now, you know. And the accurate name is the Spanish model. And the reason for the Spanish model's success lies in combination with not only their system of opting out, but also all the medical advances, the way they manage their system, their attitude, their perception, and their desire to reach the full potential. And that's what's lacking here in Canada and most of the countries throughout the world. One of the most misleading myths about the Spanish system is that their government owns their citizens' body parts. And that is so far from the truth. In fact, the family is always approached before and asked for their consent before the process of organ donation continues. The reason they created the opt-out system, and it became law in 1989, the reason they created the opt-out system was to address the administrative shortcoming. And by creating this law, it was a very effective tool as well. And that only makes sense. In all my experiences going through Canada and talking to millions of people, almost everybody wanted to be an organ donor. And so if that was the case, why is Canada still suffering with one of the lowest rates? Obviously, one of the reasons is it's an administrative shortcoming. People either don't have the time, even though they have the desire, to either sign the card or become an organ donor. And then, as George Smitherman's panel 2 years pointed out, the donor card becomes useless. So why don't we address this if we know that this is part of the shortcoming? That's why the Spanish government and the Spanish people were smart enough to create an opt-out system. It doesn't take your freedom away. It just makes trying to save a life easier. That's why I support MPP Frankly's bill and Peter Cormo's. I support both their bills because both their approaches is to address this administrative shortcoming. Our government, provincial and federal, would be better off if they educated themselves in the Spanish system. It's really that simple. If they took the time to go to that country and you know, I mean, I'm talking about not a blue ribbon panel that would go there to study the Spanish system. I'm talking about a serious panel that is going there to get some answers. They would become educated and they would become armed with enough tools to help change the system here. So getting back to the announcement for today. Okay, so during these past 6 campaigns, the heart and soul of our campaigns were the students that participated. In 2004, if you all remember, Christopher Knowles, a 14-year-old boy, carried the torch of life across Canada. Christopher was in need of a liver transplant. And during his campaign, he inspired an army of students right across the country in thousands of different schools to get involved with this issue. In 2007, and this is just recently, over 100 students represented their communities by carrying the torch of life. So if we look at the time scenarios here, Christopher was 14 years old in 2004, and we were mostly visiting high schools. So all these students were in grade 9. So when we did the SOS 4000 student torch relay, we went back to most of these schools, and by this time, the students were in grade 12. And most of these students were so inspired by what Christopher did that they became educated on this issue, and one student was chosen in each city to be the torch representative, and sort of like an ambassador. And it was like taking on Christopher's role, because their role included talking to the media, talking to the public, doing photo ops, you know, and the whole community got behind this, what we called Student Torch Champion. And that was very successful. In each of the communities, these young champions inspired the public, media, and government, and usually made front-page headlines. On January 30th, 2009, these students are going to receive medals for their outstanding performances. It's going to happen here in Toronto, probably here in Queen's Park. The Torch of Life also shares a big stage with the students. On June 20th, 2000, the torch was officially lit up and carried across Canada as a symbol to encourage organ donations and give hope. Millions of people carried the torch, including thousands of Canadian politicians, celebrities, and one big celebrity, Pope John Paul II. The Pope blessed the torch on September the 5th, 2001 at 11:05 a.m. And I know that because when I looked at the video afterwards, it said the time, so I remembered the time. He called organ and tissue donations a genuine act of love and encouraged the entire world to become organ donors. He also urged me, and this is very important and very relevant to my announcement today, he also urged me to get the students involved when I was going back to Canada. But he didn't mention just get students involved in Canada. You know, if he would have said, look, just get students involved in Canada, I probably wouldn't be making this announcement today. But he said, get students involved. The torch of life has been blessed by many other religious and very important figures. They all share this vision with the torch that it will be on a long and prosperous journey. And, you know, during the last 8 years, the torch has been on a great adventure. You know, before I seen the Pope, we were at a sweat at an Aboriginal community. And one of the medicines men in the sweat, we brought the torch inside the sweat. And as he was looking at the torch, he started sharing a vision that somebody very important was going to receive this torch soon. And all he could see was white. And 2 months later, I was passing this torch to Pope John Paul II. And this torch has had so much history, and from people that have, you know, many events took place right here where people were literally with weeks left to live. And we brought the torch here to pray around the torch, and hopefully they got their gifts. And it happened so many times. People were witness to that. It happened so many times here and so many places throughout the world as well. And so I believe that there's been so much love and power that has been put into this torch, and it's over here, that the legacy of this torch is just evolving, and that it has to enter the world stage. That has to be the next destination for this torch. So that's why I'm ready to bring this torch to the world stage and begin this journey. On September the 5th, 2009, 8 years after the Pope blessed the torch, we will begin this 4-year journey around the world. This time, we're going to organize 1,000 students to represent 1,000 students from over 100 countries. In each country, we're going to do the same that we've been doing in Canada. See, we have a model already built for this. We're going to get the police involved for the escort. We're going to get the community leaders involved. We're going to get the political leaders involved. We're going to get the media involved. We're going to get community groups involved. And we're going to try and get the country's leaders involved to do photo ops with the torch. And the kids, the students, are going to be our leaders, because they're each going to represent their respective cities. And I'm confident that, you know, I am very confident that when we start this campaign, and we haven't yet decided whether it's going to be starting in Canada or United States. But regardless, I'm confident, and I'm saying this right now, and I said this in 2000 before I passed the torch to the Pope. I am confident that this torch is going to find its way to either President Obama's hands or President McCain's. I'm very confident, and I'm making that prediction right now. And, you know, we're also going to get well-known figures and celebrities. I'm sure when we go through California and Hollywood, then, you know, we're going to get all these celebrities that are going to do photo ops. We can and will excite the communities. Our goal will be to arrive at the finish line. And I know this is a big undertaking. Like, you know, like... people just don't wake up and say, or maybe they do, you know, I'm going to do a 4-year journey around the world, and with all the challenges that this is going to take. But I got to remember, in 1997, I wanted to walk from Toronto to Ottawa, and I was so excited to do this, and when I was in Toronto, I tried to see if I can see Ottawa from Toronto, which is impossible. And I started thinking, Ottawa's a long way. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And this was back in 1997. But the only way that I was going to be able to do this was to take that first step. And the only way I didn't drive myself crazy was to understand that I was going to do this step by step. That was the only way I was going to arrive in Ottawa. In that frame of mind and in that kind of attitude is how we did 5 other campaigns afterwards, and a total of 100 million steps from that one step. So from 100 million steps, which I have taken, and all these kids and the torch in the past 11 years, we are going to be on our way to 1 billion steps, because when we finish this, that's how many steps will have been taken. So it'll be from 100 million to 1 billion steps. Step by step, with students of the world and the torch of life, we now have the opportunity to save 1 million people and forever enrich their lives. So that ends this press conference. And Giorgio, I know you're the only one here, but if you wanted to ask any questions.
Yeah, so you think that the 2 bills from Cormosh and Cleese are very important to solve this problem, this administrative lack of communication, you would say?
Shortcoming. Yeah, yes. We have an administrative shortcoming. That's part of the problem. It's not going to solve the entire shortage. There's many other things that need to be done. But Mr. Cleese's idea of getting people registered during the time that they were applying for their licenses is certainly going to help it. And that's why I supported that bill. But I also supported Peter Kormos's bill, because in Peter Kormos's bill, it's more similar to the Spanish model, where if he had enough support here in the province, in the House, that a law would be passed where every Ontario would be already registered as organ donors. But I have to make it clear, because almost every media people that covered this story never mentioned that the family still has a part in that system. So, but what happens is, if Ontario ever decided to do the opt-out system here in Ontario, what that does is create automatic awareness, because everybody's going to be talking about it. Everybody's going to be talking about that they're already on this registry. So the much needed organ awareness education is automatically instated because this is being, so it's actually solving 2 goals: the awareness goal and the administrative shortcoming. So once people in Ontario became educated about this law, they know that their family's going to play a part in it, and they know it's very simple to opt out, and they know the reason why it would be done in the first place. I know, I can guarantee you that if this ever got done, that there won't be this big outcry that everybody's been, or not everybody, that some of the critics, and there's only a few that have been saying that there would be. If the Premier, if the Liberals decided to get behind Peter Kormos's bill and decided to install this opt-out bill, the only thing that's going to happen is that more lives are going to be saved.
What about the other provinces in Canada? What do you know? What kind of feedback you have from other provinces? What's happening for organ donation all over Canada?
They're all in the same place that Ontario is at. I've talked to all the health ministers from each province and all the premiers from each province, and they're in the same place. The reason why each government is a little unsure about this is because they're not entirely sure of how the public is going to react to this. So when they have this uncertainty or unsurety, you know, they are going to stay on the fence. You know, now in the past, when Mr. Cormos has produced his bill, twice it didn't make it to the second reading, you know, and twice it didn't get proper hearing, and twice, you know, so I think that was the safe bet for the premier to do. Now, I did not support the George Smitherman's panel on their findings that Ontarians were not in favor of it because it was based on very flimsy research. You know, there was only 2,000 people that responded to their 4 months, $2 million panel, and most of these people responded through the internet. Most of them were paid. You know, did the public know that? I mean, the public did find out about that. So how can you base such an important decision based on such flimsy evidence?
And based on this, are you promoting, or did you already promote, or you want to promote another online petition from people, maybe sending email to their MPPs or the premier of provinces to push for this new law on organ donations? Are you going to promote something like this too?
Since day one, since 1997, that's all I've been doing is promoting that I've been saying that we can solve this shortage. But we can't just look at one part to solve it. The bill is an important part, you know, the system. It would tackle the shortcoming. But we also need to do other things. We need more retrieval centers in Ontario. There's remote areas where people are willing to donate their organs, but it's going to be impossible for their organs to get used because there's no retrieval centers to harvest them properly so that they can get to people. And people up north know that very well. I've been up there so many times, and yeah, and you know, and this is for other parts of Canada as well. So retrieval centers. Also, we still don't have enough heart dead donation surgeries going on. And that only came into play a couple of years ago, and we were urging that for the past 7 years. You know, there's many other things, and it's also going to be our attitude and perception towards this issue. That's why Spain has been so successful, is because they have a certain attitude and perception about this issue. They feel that, you know, they had a 96% success rate in finding organs for the people on their waiting list, and yet they want to shoot for 100. So they have that desire and that attitude to do it, and that's what is really needed here in this province.
Percentage.
Yeah, exactly. We have to understand that it doesn't cost anything to be an organ donor. You know, people aren't asked for money or to, and of course, if we're going to have more organ donations, we're going to need more facilities, more surgeons, more, you know. But I also want to point out, when I went to Spain, I did a very comprehensive study on the financial aspects, you know. And the bottom line was that the more organ transplants that Spain produced, the better off the healthcare economy is. Because if we look at our healthcare economy now, there's a lot of money that very sick people are dependent on, and that are candidates for organ donation. So if they receive their organ, then they get a healthy life, and they get back to work, and they start paying taxes. So it's almost like reforming welfare. And so, you know, the more transplants, the more surgeons you're going to have, the more investment. It's a great investment to make, not only for the sake of saving lives, but you're going to get a big financial return on this. And that's the other part that I've been urging the government to look at as well, because usually these things do come down to what's the price, you know. The price is that any government, whether it's provincial or federal, will end up saving the healthcare dollar, much dollars in the healthcare system, and get people back to work.
Beautiful, George. We do one-on-one.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Good afternoon. My name's George Marcello. I'm the CEO of Step by Step. And today's a very special day for Step by Step because we're announcing our 7th campaign, SOS the Americas. Before I get into the details of this new campaign, I wanted to thank MPP Frank Cleese, not only for sponsoring this event here, but for the many times in the past that he has sponsored here. Without his support, we wouldn't have been able to do all the many important press conferences that we held here in the past few years. So thank you very much. And also his assistant, Alex Roman, who has been so resourceful to us. And also I want to also welcome our vice chairperson for Step by Step, and that's Sabrina Colgan, and she's sitting in the audience on the left. And our newest member is Sabrina Michelacci. Welcome. And also we have some other sponsors here. It's the Delia Social Cultural Club. It's a community club. It's based from Delia. Well, they all came from Delia, Sicily. And they have been really behind Step by Step, especially in the last couple of months. And they've been a lot of the wind that has, brought me to where I am today with this event. They've been really helpful in doing many things, including fundraising. And they're going to present me with a check to make sure I could stay on the road in the next 2 years. And so they're all here, and everybody will get to see them afterwards. And also want to thank Gail Connett, who's since the last 2 months, we've had to put a lot of things together, including the Truck of Life, which I'm going to talk about. Gail has been so useful to Step by Step. She helped, when you're driving a truck, you need insurance. And so she helped with the insurance, getting the insurance, and it was very hard to get it. I never knew how hard it was to get an insurance for an ambulance. It's very hard, and so she helped get that. Plus, she's been introducing us to other people that have been helping out, and it's part of, having people like Gail and others. It's part of what keeps me going and keeps the whole team going of Step by Step, and keeps us going to reach our goal, which is ultimately to save lives. There's a whole bunch of other people that we want to thank, and we're going to be able to do that afterwards. But and right now, what I want to do is talk a little bit about SOS the Americas, and what it's all about. Basically, this is our 7th campaign. In the past 12 years, we've completed 6 campaigns under Step by Step. And the most recent one, if everybody remembers, it was the SOS 4000 campaign, where we organized 100 students across 100 cities in Canada to relay the famous Torch of Life, which, if everybody's familiar with Step by Step, was blessed by Pope John Paul II 8 years ago. These kids did a marvelous job of relaying the torch and inspiring the community and getting so many people involved and so many people to sign up as organ donors. And as a result, I know that they were responsible in helping to save a lot of lives. So after doing this campaign, we thought, I guess it's time to go to the next level. And the next level being that now we're going across 2 continents. And that's why we named it SOS the Americas. Starting on October 23rd in Wasilla, Alaska, we're going to kick off a 2-year campaign. As we speak, there are students from Wasilla High School that are being organized to relay the Torch of Life from Wasilla to Anchorage. And we are going on new territory. Step by Step has never done anything in the United States. And I got to tell you, I think this is going to be a success, because the response we've been getting so far from Alaska has been awesome. And just to give you a little idea, this is a letter of support from Governor Sarah Palin. That's the governor of Alaska. And he sets the tone with this letter. he actually sets the tone with this letter. He's almost like making sure all Alaskans are going to get behind us when we kick off this campaign. So what we're saying, we got one governor, we got 52 to go in the United States. So, you know, we want to thank the governor of Alaska, plus all the many other people, the state troopers, the hotels that are helping me out with accommodations. We want to thank the students that are participating. We have senators, representatives that are going to be attending. I think we're really going to show what, on this first day of a 2-year journey, we're going to show the potential of what could lie ahead. So we're starting October 23rd, and the idea will be after we do Alaska, we're going to go to Vancouver to start the Canadian leg of SOS the Americas. We got 36 cities in the in Canada to go through, and you know, the students and the schools and everybody else are used to us coming through the communities. I've gone through them so many times already. They just say, okay, what are you doing now, when I phone up any of the Canadian cities, and the mayors know that they have to get involved, and the MP and the MPPs and the media and everybody. So, you know, Canada's going to be a piece of cake for us to do again. And I say that because, you know, we've got so many great people in Canada. And so we're going to be entering Maine on February 2nd. And that pretty well puts us in the States for the next year and a half. We're going through almost 160 cities in the States. And in April 2011, we're going to make our way to Mexico, down to Central America, through the Caribbean, and through South America. And we're going to finish this 2-year campaign in Argentina in 2011. So, you know, again, we did the last campaign that we did, SOS 4000, we did it with 100 kids from 100 different cities in Canada. That worked so well, and knowing that we got a great start in Alaska, I know we're going to make an impact on almost all the cities that we're going to. We've been getting great response just from the cities I've been calling in the United States so far, and we know that as a result of having all these students with their passion, their enthusiasm, that I think we're going to get this issue to the forefront of the Americas. And I think we're going to be able to reach the world. I think the world's going to look at this if it gains the momentum that we're hoping it's going to gain. But what I want to talk about now is something new that we're doing in this campaign. And it's possible now because of the age of video technology. We're going to introduce afterwards the Truck of Life, which is sitting outside the grounds here at Queen's Park. The Truck of Life is an ambulance that was donated almost entirely by Elite 911. And the truck has been turned into like a TV network. But it's not TV, it's an internet network. We have all the equipment needed to webcast all our activities for the next 2 years. So just imagine seeing these wonderful students carrying the torch through their respective cities, and we have an ambulance that's going to be following them and filming them live on the internet. So we're going to keep promoting everybody to come to www.SOSTheAmericas.com, because that's our TV station. Everybody's going to be able to see our 2-year campaign live, and we're going to generate a lot of enthusiasm. So what we're saying is, because now we live in this age of video technology, we're going to be able to communicate with people around the world that are in need of organs. And we're going to be able to help them through the age of video technology by showing who they are and what need that they're in. And we did a couple of events earlier in the past couple of months that went pretty successful. And we tried with Matteo Lombardo from Sicily, from Delia, Sicily. And then we tried with Maria Mercedes, who was from Colombia. And both worked very well. So, knowing that, it worked for these two individuals, the potential is just enormous of what we can do with people around the world now. So this is pretty ambitious. And again, it takes expenses to put this together. And again, I had to mortgage whatever's left of my house to do it, because that's how sure I am that this is going to work. And that's how sure I am. Like some people, I know it's like, why would you want to, go to those lengths by mortgaging your house? So, I was given the gift of life, and I'm alive today because somebody made that decision to give me the gift of life. So the real question is, why aren't we going to the lengths to save those people that are on that waiting list? That should be the more question of, of audacity, is why aren't we doing, it shouldn't be why I'm mortgaging my house. It should be then, why aren't we doing everything that we can to save those people on the waiting list? So that's why we called it step by step, because, it is literally every step, every step of the way is how we're going to go about this. We're going to, people will respond to this. I am sure of that. And I know that when you do things with your heart, things happen, and you just have to be a little persistent about it. That's all. And I think in the last 12 years, I've learned to be a little persistent. So.
So you said you were actually mortgaging your house again?
Yeah. So whatever I had left, I was able to, because there's expenses that have to be met. But we're hoping that we're going to get companies on board. We're hoping that we're going to get some help. We're going to keep asking for help, and wherever it's coming from. Now we'll be able to even acknowledge their help in a marketable way by having the Truck of Life. We have a giant 52-inch TV screen on the truck. When you see this truck, and I think Joe, my good friend Joe, might have been able to show you a picture of it. We're going to hopefully try and get as much people to put their company on this, and we can give them a lot of promotion value as well. So that's about it. There's a busy day today because we're going to be finishing a PSA. So we'll have a 90-second PSA on how the Truck of Life got formed. We want to acknowledge all the people that helped put the Truck of Life together, and then show that in a 90-second piece, which could serve both as a PSA for possibly any television network or any spot that we can put it on, and also make an appeal to the corporate world to show that this is what we can do for your company. So, like, we're just going to take it step by step. Wednesday, I got to get on a plane. I'm going to be in Alaska, and everybody's asking me, are you going to meet Sarah Palin? Maybe. I don't know. She knows about this, by the way, so you never know. She just might pop up, And here's the tone that we're setting. I want to end off with this, because I was talking to her people as well as everybody else. I said, look, the tone that we want to set is that, if ex-Governor Sarah Palin did come on board, we were saying, look, this is the tone that you can set. Just think of it that if your loved one was waiting for an organ transplant, whether it was your child or your mother, father, sister, brother, and finally an organ arrived after so much pleading and so much desperation, and the organ's arriving. Now, the first thought I would think would come to the family's mind is joy and relief. It's not going to be, hold on a second, is that organ a Republican organ or a Democratic organ? Or is it a black organ or a Chinese organ? Or is it a Jewish organ? No, that's not going to come. That's the tone that we want to set with all the cities in both Americas that life is life. It doesn't matter what color, what religion, what party you're from. You know, it's the gift of life, you know, and maybe through this kind of osmosis, we can have another way of bringing people together. So who knows? We might find the answer to bring the Republican and Democratic parties together finally on a healthcare issue, organ and tissue donations. Thank you very much. Thanks, Joe. Okay, so I want to invite the Adelia Club up here right now because they want to, I think, present me with something. Where should we stand, Joe? Behind here? Okay, so I'm just going to make room for everybody up here. Could my team take pictures by any chance? Okay, yeah.
Oh, we can?
Yeah.
Okay, should I come there?
So you can speak.
First of
Donna.
all, we present you with this,
Oh,
okay, for
that's
the
nice.
work you did for Mattia Lombardo. She says, it's from the Delia Social Culture Center.
Oh, parla italiano?
Sì.
Ok,
Sì.
parla italiano.
Ok, e dal Delia Social Culture Center a Giorgio Marcello il riconoscimento per il lavoro svolto a favore del nostro compaesano Mattia Lombardo. Con gratitudine, 17 ottobre 2009. Donna Leone, presidente del Delia Social Club. Okay. Grazie tanto per quello che
Very
ha
nice.
fatto.
Thank you. Very, very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Grazie. Yeah, very nice.
E adesso
I'll just put this down here for now.
qui abbiamo un assegno dal Delia Social Culture Center
Comunità.
della comunità che è stato raccolto dalla comunità deliana e anche non deliana, tra Salvatore Leone che fa parte del direttivo che è andato in giro e altre persone anche. Abbiamo Rosaria, la vicepresidente del nostro centro. Ti presentiamo con un assegno di $5.000.
Wow,
I hope this.
that is
I hope,
that
yes.
my heart's dry. Wow. Thank you.
Sono sicuro che potrai usare la somma
Oh my God.
durante
Th-
questa
see?
campagna e che Dio ti benedica a te e tutto il gruppo che tu sarai, ma la maggior parte saranno studenti, come hai detto. God bless you all.
Oh,
Okay.
grazie. Wow. I gotta do this double kisses again.
E con questo vogliamo anche invitare le altre persone, tutte le
Associazioni.
comunità, le associazioni, comunità di sopportare questo step by step. Perché la vita, veramente, come ha detto Marcello, è una cosa preziosa. Il dono della vita è veramente prezioso. Dobbiamo ringraziare Dio per quello che abbiamo fino ad oggi. E se possiamo aiutare in qualsiasi modo, siamo qui per questo.
Sì. Incoraggiare le persone sempre di donare ovunque andiamo.
Grazie, Dante. Daniela, this might be an
Thank you.
opportunity for Omni to challenge all the other Italian communities, to thank you. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Siamo buoni?
Back in 2 years, I guess.
Well, I'll be back Christmas.
Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claremont Humphrey. I'm from streamingpraiseradio.com, Inc., and we are an internet gospel radio station in the GTA. Today, I just want to introduce you to George Marcello, who is the CEO and founder of Step by Step, and they are launching their 165-city tour in the States for the SOS the Americas. SOS the Americas is basically to promote organ and tissue donation, and I will let George explain more of that to you. But what I want to let you know that streamingpraiseradio.com has joined forces with Step by Step to help promote this. So we'll be keeping tabs on George as he goes through the cities, and just to find out what is happening, how things are going, who is getting on board, and things like that. George really is also an organ, or should I say a liver recipient 2 times now, and this is why he has such a passion to do what he's doing. And just to show you the kind of man he is, someone called him just, I think yesterday or the day before, and today she's with us, and we'll tell you more about her as well. But I'd just like you to look into George, and George, tell us more about what's actually happening, what's going on with the tour, and I know you started off in Alaska, so would you tell us, please?
I sure will. Thanks, Monty. I call him Monty, so you're going to get used to Monty. Okay, first of all, I want to say something about this man. Monty's known my family for quite a while. He lived with my younger brother around the Rogers and Kiel area. Your kids were going to school with his kids, and you know, and it was my sister-in-law that actually called me it's almost going on November 2008 to October
November 2008, yes, that's correct.
So, you know, it's been more than a year now. And she gave me a call, and she said, you got to call this guy up, you know. And so I found out what Claremont was doing. Claremont was in the process of getting tested because he was going to donate his liver to a 14-month baby girl.
That's right.
And you know, I had to meet this man, and then when he invited me to do it because he's got his own internet radio station. He invited me to his house to do an interview, and that's when we first met. During that interview, and we talked, and then we found out that, you know, you knew my brother and all, you know, and because I never knew any of that stuff when I got there, and then we kind of got into each other's stories.
That's right.
You know, and this is on your radio show. And what I found was that I had such a comfort level talking to Claremont. It was like to be yourself, you know, and I've always experienced that ever since. So that's what we're trying to do today, is really like pretend it's your radio show and just do what we do at your, you know, because too many times we're too uptight, and we, you know, but just be, you know, to be yourself, and to because that's what's going to shine the most, is just being yourself. So I wanted just to say that, and also to say what an honor it is for you to be here, to be doing what you're doing, you know, and hosting this, because this is a very big step for us, what we're about to do, you know, and you usually got Kurt here with
us,
you,
yes,
and
right.
he's always giving you the eye or something, or doing something.
But last October, you started off with you kick off with the campaign, the SOS the Americas. It was the 7th campaign of Step by Step. How did that go? What was it like preparing for that? And what is it going to be like going into the next phase, which is 165 cities that you will be going into? And I mean, at the expense of you going through a lot, your own health is at risk as well. You know, trying to get all the support and the funding from the different places, which is going to be hard and difficult. And yet at the same time, you're still looking out for people like Arlene, who also needs a liver transplant as well.
Well, you know, again, I got to go back to when we met, because we started tapping into all this stuff. We started talking about all this. What makes you do what you do? You know, and I was asking you the same question. What made you want to, you know, risk your body, risk your life trying to save somebody? Like, what makes you do that, you know? And so we got into all that, and so you were there when this new campaign actually started getting hatched. And there was this big thing that somehow, as we were planning to do this next campaign, after I finished the SOS 4000, the student torch relay from coast to coast, then I was saying, okay, now the next step is to do a global student torch relay from one end of the world to the other end of the world, right around the world. And then there was this OAS summit going on in Trinidad, which was the thing of the Americas. I forget what but all 36 countries of the
The American
Americas
summits, I think it
were,
was.
the summit of the Americas, and they were gathering in Trinidad. And President Obama was, supposed to come there, and at that time I was hooked up with a girl whose sister was supposed to be hosting this big television show, and she was going to be able to get us introduced to pass the torch to Obama. That's how SOS the Americas got started, because eventually it was going to be bring the torch around the world, organize cities and countries around the world, and get the students to continue passing it as the Canadian students did. But when I got to Trinidad, and we were making arrangements to make the announcement that, well, we're going to do one hemisphere at a time. And that's the theme of SOS the America, or the theme of the Americas, the summit, was to somehow bring all the Americas together economically, financially, in a health care wise. So what grabbed me at that time was, well, I can see one day a union on all 36 countries of the Americas when it comes to organ donations. So why not jump into that while the iron was hot? And that's where we made the official announcement, was in Trinidad, that we were going to do this 36-country student torch relay. We did not get a chance to pass the torch to Obama because he had too much security coming off that plane. But now I'm stuck with this campaign, not stuck, but I got to follow through. And then where do we start? I was first going to start from the Northwest Territories, but then I went to this conference where I met ex-Governor Tommy Thompson, who was running for the presidential campaign with the Republicans in 2008. And I just somehow found myself having about a 15-minute talk with Tommy Thompson at the Mars building over here. And he knew what I was doing, and he said, why don't you start in Alaska, and maybe you can get Sarah Palin to kick off the torch. And I said, I think that's a good idea. And so that's why we started in Alaska. But of course she didn't light the torch because she stepped down.
Right.
But we had Governor Purnell, and we had Senator Begich, the U.S. Senator Begich, that came out. And here's the tone that was set up, Monty. What we're trying to do in this campaign is, not only go through 300 cities in 36 countries with this torch and get the students to continue carrying it, but we're trying to, and I know it's a mountain, we're trying to set the tone to bring both Republicans and Democrats together on a health care issue. And we've been doing that. Starting off with Alaska, we got Democratic U.S. Senator Begich to come out and support it, and the Republican. And as we finished Canada and I was working on the States, unbelievable the response we've been getting from congressmen, governors, senators, mayors, both from different parties, Republican and I know the temperature of the states right now. They can't agree on one issue. So here's an issue that they're agreeing on, and so I had a long-term vision when I did the Canada walk. I said, I'm going to bring this torch to the Pope. It seems so silly to think that you could bring a torch to a pope. Like, it just seems so silly. And, you know, I mean, whoever said the sky's the limit, you know, kind of went a little bit short. The sky shouldn't be the limit. Heaven should be the limit. You know, so why not? Why not say you're going to do something and then try and do it?
That's right. I know in the midst of all of this, too, something happened. You got a phone call, and by Aileen and or Arlene. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Arlene. And Arlene is here with us today, and I would like her to tell her story, what actually is going on with you. So if you don't mind telling us what's happening with you and your appeal to the public.
Well, I'm a 39-year-old female that was diagnosed in just after I finished university. I was diagnosed with auto.
Sorry, can you start again, because all that first audio was out.
Okay. I'm a 39-year-old female that migrated to Canada to come to university here. And upon finishing my degree, ready to work and start life, that's when I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis disease, which has affected my liver. And throughout the years, I've tried to live a very health-conscious lifestyle to preserve my health and to take care of myself. But to date now, since 2008, July, I've been listed on the transplant list. I've developed a secondary disease that also affects my liver that's called PSC. And I also have developed hepatopulmonary syndrome, hence requiring oxygen, which is all reversible if I do get a liver. So with the help of these two guys and their mission too, in their work, I see them doing a great deal in increasing the awareness of the scarcity of the organ donations and increasing the awareness not only in Canada but elsewhere, as Mr. Marcello has suggested, and people increasing their awareness might be able to help provide people like myself a transplant earlier. Because as time goes by in the past, last year I was admitted 7 times to a hospital. I've seen myself deteriorate physically, not able to work anymore, not able to live independent. I've lost all of that. And I've gone back into the hospital already once this year. So I've been on the waiting list now almost 2 years, but my body's failing. And the doctors all say if I do get a liver transplant, everything is reversible. I'd be back at functioning, a normal lifestyle, contributing to society the way I used to, enjoy life the way I used to, and you know, it would be a good second chance to life again and to even help other people in similar situations. Because I see myself here today not only talking for myself, but talking for the many people that does not have that opportunity. Nobody realized the hardships that a patient goes through. It has changed your life, not just physically. It changes your whole psychosocial, your living arrangements, your family dynamics, just the way your outlook on life. You have to really keep a positive attitude, because some days it's just not there. Your body fails you, and you know in your mind that what you could be doing and you can't because of this limiting factor. But with people, support, understanding, people out there that have the energy to go and do the fight for you and to pass on the word, no matter how small it is, no matter how insignificant it means a lot to a patient like myself. Because those are the days when you don't feel like life can go on, but you just have to have a positive outcome to say. Just like how Mr. Marcello has gotten his transplant and is able to function now to help others. And Mr. Claremont has helped a baby as well. So we all have a part to play, and that's what I see. Even if I can't get a liver, my part is to actually increase people awareness no matter where I am, in the mall, at a doctor's appointment, even on the phone, or just talking on email. But I have to say that getting a liver transplant would make a world of a difference, because it would really give me an opportunity to feel like I can contribute to the world in general, not just personally, but to help others in the same position.
Well, thank you so much, Arlene. We do hope that those who are listening and watching will be able to contribute. I mean, the last time we did this, we had so many viewers who came forth and try to do something, and we do hope that something works out very, very soon for you. At this time, though, do you feel hopeful at all?
I always have a positive outlook. Some days it's not as strong, but with the people surrounding you and my spiritual belief in God, I leave it with God. And I always look for that inner strength. But I think every day is an opportunity to live. If I get up that day and I feel well, as I said to Mr. Marcello, yesterday I wasn't feeling well, but today,
You feel great.
great. And I'm doing 100% with that day when I do feel well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know what? We have a camera over here, and there is people in the studios, in TV media studios, that are watching this right now. Whether they're going to, do a story, it's up to them. But right now, we can make a plea to them to do a story for Arlene to get to.
So you go right ahead, George. You know
Well,
it more better than I do.
I'm going to need some help from you too.
Right.
But what we're asking right now is I know CTV, City TV, Global, Omni. You're all watching this right now. You can all help right now. There's never enough stories for organ donations. What you have the ability to do is to get the word out. This lady, as you can see, is so courageous and unselfish too, and she's come here making a plea. She's got blood B positive, and I asked her the same question. I go, are you staying positive about this? I go, she goes, of course I am. I got B positive.
There you go.
So, we're really making a plea for you to do a story on her, because if you remember with Lily and all the other people that you helped out with, it ended up on a really happy note, and it was because of your work getting the word out that so many people responded to this. She's eligible for a live liver. People will respond, but we need your help. We need your help to get the word out for Arlene. And if you did a story on an organ donation 3 days ago, this isn't a repetitive thing. This is how we solve this problem. Whoever needs organs, nobody needs to die, and we need your help. So please, if you can, do a story on Arlene.
Yes. Thank you. Judge, you just have about 1 minute left, so I just wanted.
No, we don't.
You don't? Okay.
we
So
don't.
we just want you to tell us on Saturday, I think it is, you're going to do your 165 kickoff tour, city tour in the Americas, and what are your plans?
Okay, beautiful. This Saturday, what we're doing is, with the help of our partners, the Toronto Police Services, they're going to accompany me in the truck of life towards Buffalo. So they're coming with a Toronto police van.
Right.
And they're going to have about a half a dozen officers. And we're all going to make our way to the Peace Bridge. And we've already contacted the commissioner in Buffalo. And so he's assembling about a half a dozen Buffalo police officers on the other side of the Peace Bridge. So our Toronto police officers are arriving with the torch, and at the end of the Peace Bridge, they're going to pass the torch to the Buffalo police officers to mark the first step of a 165 city tour in the States. So this is like bringing two countries together on organ and tissue donations. And you know what we're saying? We got 34 more to go, because this will be the first two. We're going to keep doing this when we get to Mexico, when we get to the Caribbean, when we get to South America. You know, this is what's symbolic of this. So what's happening this Saturday is going to be very important. And the police, by the way, have been the heart and soul, really, as well as the kids, because we've been getting so much of their help in doing this, and ensures our safety. And to get the police behind you on things shows that the community is going to get behind you as well. So we're hoping throughout the next 14 months, while we're in the U.S., every week, we can do our weekly thing, Monty.
Yes.
And you know we're going to run into a lot more stories. And by the way, Arlene, we can start getting the word out in the States for you as well. You know, because we're not going to be too far. We're still going to be around the border towns.
Once again, I'd like to let you know that streamingpraiseradio.com, which is a gospel internet radio station, will be keeping tabs on George on our weekly show that is aired live every Sunday from 6 to 9 p.m. On streamingpraiseradio.com. And of course, once again, we want to appeal to you on behalf of Arlene about, you know, if you're available and you are eligible to do so, try to come forward and help out Arlene. And, you know, we just want you to keep praying, and that sooner than later she will have a liver transplant and be back to full health again. George, I think we're going to end with you have some videos you're going to show. Yeah, so we want to thank you so much for listening and to being a part of this, and we do hope that we do get a great response, especially to Arlene, and keep following us as we continue watching George Marcello as he goes on a 165 country tour right across cities right across the United States. Thank you.
This world we're living in, there's trouble all around us. People fighting one another. No one cares for his brother. Is there a place of happiness where there's love, peace, and rest? Oh, I long for that day when we won't have to say, is there a place for us? Is there a place for us? Somewhere a place for us? Can there be peace and quiet and love to share? That waits for us somewhere. That waits for us somewhere. How can we live together? How can we live together?
Okay, so anyways, I want to welcome everyone to my monthly therapeutic session here at Queen's Park. No, but in all seriousness, I'm here to really announce hopefully what's going to become some exciting news. For anyone that's listening right now and that doesn't know my story, I guess I'll take just a few minutes to briefly give the background. There was 4 major things that happened in my life in the last 15 years. And the first was in 1995 when I had hours left to live. And I received a liver transplant, and that saved my life. And after I woke up after the operation, I just had this extreme desire to thank the donor family, and I did a 12,000-mile walk. Now that was the first. The second was just out of nowhere, I got a call from Vatican City, and it was one of Pope John Paul's assistants, and he asked me if I would like to come to Vatican City because the Pope was watching the campaign I was doing. I was actually carrying an Olympic-style torch going from city to city on this very long journey. And, you know, next thing I know, I'm in front of the Pope and I'm passing him the torch. And it was in front of a world audience. And that moment, like, was kind of like a surreal, magical moment because I still couldn't believe I was in front of the Pope, and you know, and I'm passing him this torch. But he said some words that to this day I literally have been following and putting into action. He said that organ and tissue donation was a genuine act of love, and encouraged me to pass the torch to the students. And he called the students the young ambassadors for organ and tissue donations. Now, shortly after I left, I wasn't quite sure what he meant by that. You know, like, you know, I wasn't sure what he meant. And it wasn't until maybe a year after, while I was going through Sarnia, Ontario, and there was this young boy named Christopher. He was 11 at the time. That when I was passing through Sarnia, he wanted to carry that torch across Sarnia, and he did. And he carried it to the city hall where the mayor and all the media were waiting. And this was the third most important thing that's happened in the last 15 years. Young Christopher, when he arrived at the city hall, was getting interviewed by the media. And the media asked him, "Why are you doing this, Christopher?" And Christopher lifted up his shirt and showed like literally a dozen scars on his stomach. And kind of, with a smile on his face, told the story of each scar. And Christopher was waiting for a liver transplant his entire life. And, you know, you wouldn't know it by the way by his enthusiasm, you know, he didn't show that he was sick. And the next thing that happened was that Christopher had this desire, and he expressed it to me many times, that he wanted to carry the torch across Canada. And at first I didn't know how this was going to happen, but he kept calling me, and then something hit me that maybe this is what the Pope meant, you know, pass the torch to the students. Maybe Christopher was that student. And, you know, it was kind of, you had to do, the way, you know, literally, it didn't seem logical or sensible even to organize a torch trek for a boy that was practically getting sick almost every few weeks and that needed a transplant and was so young. Like, but I believed that that's what I was supposed to do. and I did. So in 2004, we organized Christopher's Wish, and Christopher, at 14 years old now, carried that torch in 200 cities across Canada, and each city that he entered, there was literally like hundreds, if not thousands, of students that were there to greet him like a rock star. And when he talked to these kids, he had them like hypnotized. They followed his every word. And as we were going from city to city, and we kept seeing this happen, and the students were trying to stay in touch with Christopher. His email was overloaded every night, he literally inspired a nation of kids, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of kids. And when Christopher finished the campaign, he didn't receive his liver. He was carrying a beeper, and he still didn't receive his liver. And, after that campaign, I was trying to guess was that what I was supposed to do? Was that what the Pope meant? Was I supposed to pass the torch? And is that what he meant by students? And so I kind of went on a soul-searching tour in Europe, a year after. And this is the fourth most important thing that happened. While I was in Europe, I found out that I needed another liver transplant. I got sick with thrombosis while I was in Paris, France. And I was in the same boat that I found myself in '95. I had little time left, and, I thought that was it, Now, the only thing I wanted to do was really not die in France, so somehow I made my way back to Canada, almost dying on the plane. And when I got back to Canada, it was shortly after, on my birthday, that the second liver became available. And it was literally like surviving yet another, ordeal that almost verified that I had more work to do, and I needed to follow what the Pope said. So what came to me was that I kept looking at all the videos that we did with Christopher, all the newscasts, and I seen all those kids, and then it just came to me, well, the Pope said pass the torch to the students, and that's how it's got to continue. So the next campaign that we organized was a 100-student torch relay across Canada, and that was in 2007. And in every city, a student was chosen to represent the torch and become a young ambassador for organ donations. And these kids were fantastic. In each city that we went to, their friends, their families, the schools, the police, everybody rallied around the young champion, the young student champion, and he or she spoke to the media, spoke to the public, dropped pucks at hockey games, and just like a true ambassador. And we did this very successfully. We started in St. John's, and we ended up in Yellowknife. It took a year to do. Now, what this led to, after finishing this, the wheels in my head were already turning, because this was going so successful. The wheels in my head were already turning. And did the Pope mean just to do this in Canada, or was I supposed to go outside of Canada? And that's where the wheels were turning. And I said, if we can do a successful 100-city tour from St. John's in Canada to Yellowknife, then why not tackle 36 countries? And so on October 23rd, 2009, we began a 300-city, 36-country student torch relay from Wasilla, Alaska. And why on earth would I go and start in Wasilla, Alaska is probably the question that someone would ask, and I was asked many times. Well, it was obvious. We wanted Sarah Palin to light the torch. I had this crazy idea that if we can get Sarah Palin to light the torch, then what I believed would happen would be that it would be easy for the Democrats to join in. I think it would be a little harder the other way around if we had a Democrat and get the Republican. Just for some, that's the way my logic was working. So while she was governor, I was talking to her people, and she knew about it, and it looked like she was going to do it. And then she stepped down. And so, you know, it seemed like that plan was foiled. But I still had to continue in Wasilla because I already had contacted all the schools and the mayors and everybody else. And then next thing I know, I got Governor Purnell, a Republican, that's getting behind this campaign, and also U.S. Senate Democrat Mark Begich that was getting behind this campaign. So I had both a Republican and a Democrat that were getting behind a health care issue in Wasilla during our kickoff. And the tone was set in Alaska. The tone that, and this was said many times, that if your loved one was waiting for a organ transplant, and in most cases it's desperate, in almost all the cases, and the family is desperately hoping and praying, and you know, and then finally an organ comes, the first question or the first thought that comes to your mind isn't going to be, is that a Republican or Democratic organ? You know, it's just won't work that way, and it doesn't happen, and it won't even, you won't even think what color that organ is or whatever. You know, you're going to be so grateful that someone had the unselfishness and the courage to donate that organ, and your child is living because of that. That's the tone that was set. And, you know, since we started this campaign on October 23rd, 2009 in Wasilla, we took that torch again, once again across Canada, and we began the lower 48 states in Bangor, Maine on February 1st, 2010. And we got there by crossing the border. We got to Bangor, Maine by crossing the border at Buffalo Peace Bridge. And what we did was, the police are the backbone of our campaign. They're always there to help us in every city, in every community. And so what we decided to do, and it was very symbolic, was have our Toronto police officers carry that torch to the Peace Bridge and pass it at the Peace Bridge to the Buffalo police officers. And it was actually Captain Mann in Buffalo that said, and it was our own chairperson, Constable Ojo Tiobati, that was passing the torch to Captain Mann. And Captain Mann said, we here in America will now look after the torch. And it was beautiful because it was caught on all the news stations in Buffalo. And so our campaign began in America. And now, in the past month, we have visited about 16 cities. We went through Maine, we went through Vermont, we went through New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New York. And in all those cities and states that we went to, we continued getting support from both Republican and Democrat senators, governors, congresspeople, and mayors. And the reason why I think this is really important, I mean, you know, I think it's important that we tackle each country and, you know, kind of put a theme to it. Right now in America, and I've been there for a while, and I've been, you know, I watch a lot what goes on in America. They're having a big problem with having both parties agree on anything. And if both parties came together on something, it would be a big deal. And if we can do that, then in my thinking and in my belief is that the issue of organ and tissue donation will even get that much more profile in the states. And that's not to say that we haven't been getting coverage, because we've been getting a lot of coverage as we're going from city to city, and I'm going to show that on our website afterwards. But if we can arrange a scenario where we can get both Republican senators and congressmen and Democratic congressmen to both hold the torch and have the students present the torch to them, that is going to be national news. And you know what? We're very close in doing that. We're scheduled to be in Washington on March 24th, and that morning I'm going to have coffee, and I'm not going to name the senator yet, with a U.S. senator in her office. And as we speak, I'm actually waiting for one phone call. One phone call that'll tell me that we're going to have at least one Democrat, one Republican that will be at the Capitol doing the ceremonies of lighting the torch there and passing it to the students from a local school in Washington. I'm one phone call away. And if we can get two, we'll probably be able to get 3, 4, 5, and who knows how many. So I think that's exciting, you know, and I think it was exciting and important enough to make kind of like this kind of announcement, to see what happens, like to stay tuned. You know, is it going to happen or isn't it going to happen? And if it happens, that's going to be big news. I mean, it's big news already because this torch is making waves in the States. Like, you know, and you know, I just want to take a minute here just to bring you to our website. And as you can see, this is our truck of life. This is an ambulance, a real ambulance that's following the torch on the road. And over here, this black thing, this is our webcast screen. So anytime we have an opportunity to get connected by internet, we can show the actual event wherever we are at, whatever city. Sometimes it's in the school, sometimes it's at City Hall, sometimes it's right on the road. We can show our event live, and the whole world can tune in. And we've done that many times already, and it's worked very wonderfully. And I'm going to scroll down below, and this is sort of the torch of life, the legacy. You can kind of go through. We first lit it in Victor Davis's memory, the great Olympic champion swimmer. And his brother and his dad are both members of our team. And there was the Pope who blessed the torch, and there's Christopher. And then the Canada Student Torch Relay, and now the 36-country SOS the Americas student. So this is very neat because it's all got in one little package there. Then when I keep going down below, you can see our entire schedule here. In the U.S., since we'll be there for the next 14 months, I thought we should have the schedule right up there at the front. So if I scroll down, you can see all the cities that we still have to visit. And you'll see that we're going to end in, well, actually, we're doing even the 3 cities, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and Virgin Islands. But we're ending on the mainland in San Diego on April 20th, 2011. So getting back to the homepage, we always put our updates, the next event over here. And if you look at this, you'll see some of our supporters. And you know, the volunteers are also the backbone of the charity. And we get people like Terry Phillips, who was the very first to drive the truck of life, and you know, he actually went right across Canada with us. And then, you know, we had our next driver, which was a gentleman from New Hampshire, Concord, New Hampshire, and Bob Fairbanks was there. He is, and then. Below that is all our support letters, and you can see each one. Like, even proclamations are being done, and this is like a Canadian. I don't tell them I'm Canadian, though. I found out the secret is do not say you're Canadian. Like pretend you're an American, because they all think I'm American. You know, so that's in case you needed a tip. If you're doing a campaign, don't say you're American. You know, so they think I'm an American, which is cool. And anyways, while I was in Cambridge, the whole city came out and they did this beautiful proclamation. Can you believe it? A proclamation was done by the city of Cambridge, the famous university of Cambridge, and it was just a great day and event there. And then we got support letters, like I said, like from Governor Purnell, who first in Alaska when we were there, gave his full support to us, and you know, you can see it here, and you know, I can go down the list here, and you'll see letters from so many people here. Jack Reed, I'll tell you what Senator Jack Reed did, and this is important too, because I think he's going to be an important player. No, that's not Senator Jack Reed. That's actually a mayor. Sometimes we videotaped it. That's one of the students, but I'll get back to the. Do I have Jack Reed? Jack Reed. Where are you? Okay, Rhode Island. I know he's from Rhode Island. And okay, let me try this again. No, it's not working. Okay. So anyways, we do got a letter from Jack Reed. And then we had like a lot of TV coverage and media coverage. And what you can do is you can actually see everything from each one of our stops when you just click the city. And you know, you can get into the agenda that day, the press release, the media, all the videos, and I'll just pull up another one. So if we go to like Augusta, Maine, you know, you'll see some of the pictures there, and you'll see all the videos that we did. We actually were using YouTube to do that, so you could see all the videos when we first got there, and all the events and activities, and all the pictures as well. We are using Flickr, and there's a lot of pictures that pop up, excuse me. And this is really neat because we got the community, believe it or not, we're going near 100,000 hits with this, because the entire community tunes in. You know, they look at all, like this was the hotel that helped out. You know, they're showing this to their friends and everything, and you know, and so we have a very community-based, interactive. Everything's here, and if you go down, you'll see all until Buffalo, which was our last stop, and on the left here.
I guess we just want to say thank you for this.
That's the thing. I'm gonna just kind of. That was Alaska. Okay, I'm just gonna bring you to the left here. This is our entire schedule. So you'll see the Mexico schedule here. That's the entire Mexico, Central America, and just our last stop is in, and I don't know how to pronounce this, it's in Argentina, October 24th. So all the the whole schedule is done until we finish. And
well, how come it's cold if it's?
And what else do we got here? And then fast facts. When we work with the students in the schools, we kind of put this together, and just what applies to their province or their state. You know, because we're, you know, just like our provinces, they're slightly different, the guidelines on how to be organ donors. So we kind of train these students on what to say and all that, and they use this and all the other videos that are put here for reference. So by the time a student is looking at this, they got a really good idea. on you know, on their they get trained, and also it becomes exciting because they see all the other students, all the fun they had carrying the torch and everything. So in other words, this works. This works, and it's been working. And so on October 24th in Washington, there's another thing that's going to happen. The torch has been on a 10-year journey now since it's been blessed by the Pope. And I've gone through like unbelievable ups and downs, like some were insane, and some ups were so high that it was unbelievable. But the biggest sacrifice was financially. For the last 2 years, I've been trying to keep this campaign going by mortgaging my house, and I'm literally on my last leg right now. I have a credit card, and it's maxed to the limit, and basically, if I'm not going to get any financial support, I'm going to lose the house by next month. And I mean, I've already thought about that, and if that's got to be one of the sacrifices, then so be it, you know. But it has been very stressful financially. So we're hoping one day maybe we can get some help that way. That's one thing. The other thing is, on March 24th, when I arrive in Washington, we're going to start, hopefully, from the Capitol. And I'm waiting for a phone call. Tentatively, we're going to be carrying the torch to a building called, and I couldn't believe it when I first heard about this, it's called the Pope John Paul II Cultural Center, and it's one of the biggest building in the world in tribute to Pope John Paul II. And when I found out about that, and then I phoned them, and I told them the story, and I must have went on like probably I must have given him like the long version, and he must have thought I was a nut or something. But at the end, it was kind of silent, and the person on the other end said, "Welcome home." So to me, if the building gets involved, to me it's like the torch has been on a 10-year journey, and it's finally coming home to Pope John Paul II's house, you know. And it's kind of very, well, that's very meaningful to me. And so maybe that'll be where we get re-energized. I'm not sure, you know, like, so, but the thing about what I'm doing is it just takes so much blind faith. It's unbelievable. It's like you got to leave all logic behind and just do it. Like, you know, and basically when I left for Wasilla, I went on that, just do it, you know, like, and then I'm continuing, you know, and how I'm doing this without a budget, I still have to scratch my head. It takes a lot of begging every day. It takes a lot, but, and then people keep asking, why do you keep doing this? Why? Because I don't feel like I've reached where I'm supposed to reach. And I think when I'm reaching what I'm supposed to reach, I'll know it. I mean, I thought where I was supposed to reach was in France when I almost died. I said, okay, that was it. I brought it as far as I could. And you know, all of a sudden I'm getting another liver, and I'm back on the road before I knew it. You know, so, you know, it's just something I just can't stop. Like, it's something, there's something, you know, and why am I trying to bring Democrats and Republicans together, a Canadian, you know, doesn't, you know, like, because everybody agrees with it. Like, as I'm telling this story, as I'm going, you know, and I'm saying, look, I'm trying to, the people on that I'm talking, the everyday people are wowed by that idea that it could happen, you know. So I strongly believe I'm on the right track to continue doing that. Even in the pursuit in trying to do that is going to make a difference. even if it doesn't happen, the pursuit, you know, and trying to do it. But I think it might happen. So, Sunday, I'm jumping on a bus because our truck of life right now is in East Haven, Connecticut, and it's by our fourth treasured driver. We enlisted another guy from New Haven, Connecticut, and his name is Glenn Schroeder, and the truck is with him right now, and his family is putting together a great event in New Haven on Tuesday. But on Sunday, I'm jumping on a bus with our fifth driver, David Wright-Smith, and we're going to get on the bus, 12-hour drive to New York City, and on Monday, we got a huge event planned in Manhattan. We're going to have the torch. We're going to start at the one of the local schools there, and we're going to bring it to Columbia Hospital, the famous Columbia Hospital, where we're going to pray for the kids that are at that hospital, and there's lots that are waiting for organ transplants there. And then I'll be on the going up and down the states for the next 14 months. So while I had this opportunity to drop in the city I was born, the country I was raised in, I wanted just to give an update, and that's my update. So stay tuned, and you know, we're gonna see what happens. Maybe you might see me on Larry King talking talking about you know, passing the torch to Larry King, you know, and we're gonna see what happens. Just stay tuned. I want to thank Mr. Frank Cleese and Alex, his assistant, for I don't know how many times they've given us this opportunity to bore you with my updates here, and also my friend Joe. You know, we'll keep you guys updated. So that's about it. Thank you very much, Joe. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I want to first of all, okay, so we're all ready, gentlemen. I want to first of all say good morning, and I welcome everybody that's here. We have some special guests that are going to say a few words after. To my immediate right is Mr. Joe Williams. To his right is Mr. Sherman Hamilton, and to the very far right is Mr. Greg Davis. They're all going to say a few words afterwards. But where I want to begin is to start off with the torch. I know a lot of people already know the story, but I like repeating it. On June the 20th, 2000, that torch that you see down there, which is called the Torch of Life, was first lit up in memory of our great and someone that all Canadians are proud of, our great Olympic champion swimmer, Victor Davis. His dad was there at that moment when the torch was lit up, and his dad held that torch. I remember we had Mayor Lastman and you know, your dad. He was pretty emotional, and everybody was pretty emotional. And you know, the whole idea was to have to acknowledge the donor, and Victor Davis was as good of an example of an organ donor as you could have got, because he tragically lost his life, and Greg's going to get more into that. But Mel ended up passing the torch to a person that needed a recipient, and she was a 46-year-old mother, soon to be a grandmother, and she was dying. She needed a liver transplant. And so that was the first step of a long 10-year journey for this torch. And by the way, the lady ended up did getting her liver transplant afterwards, which was really cool. And I got to tell your dad, because and so the torch was being carried across the country on a 500-city, 12,000-mile journey to bring awareness to Canadians about the importance of organ and tissue donations, and this was all under Victor Davis's memory. Halfway into our walk on September 5th, 2001, I got a call from Vatican City, and at first I thought it was my friend Billy pulling a prank on me with his weak Polish accent. I found out afterwards, it was really someone from the Vatican City. Next thing I know, I'm on a plane and I'm bringing the torch to Pope John Paul II at Vatican City. And on September 5th, at exactly 11:05 a.m., I passed him this torch, and he blessed it, and he said some words that we have been following ever since. He said that organ and tissue donation was a genuine act of love, and he urged me to pass the torch to the students, which I've been doing ever since. I followed those words very faithfully for the next 10 years. Shortly after I got back to Canada, I met Christopher, and everybody knows Christopher, young 14-year-old Christopher, who needed a liver transplant and carried that torch across Canada. He inspired hundreds of thousands of students during his trek, and then the next campaign was the 100 Canadian 100-city torch champions. From those hundreds of thousands of students that Christopher inspired, 100 were selected to be the torch champions, to relay the torch across Canada. That was in 2007. And that event went so well that that's what inspired us to do the 7th campaign, which was SOS the Americas. So this time our plans were to light the torch in Wasilla, Alaska, and bring the torch all the way down on a 2-year journey to Argentina. And that started, as everybody knows, October 23rd. We brought the torch to Wasilla, Alaska, hoping that Sarah Palin was going to light the torch. But she stepped down as the governor, but we had Governor Purnell and U.S. Senator Mark Begich getting both behind this event. And that kind of set the tone for us. We seen something happening during that time that, wouldn't it be cool if we continue getting both parties to come together on an issue in America? Because that's a big thing right now. And so that was our tone. Our tone was this. We kept saying this over and over. If you had a young baby that was waiting for an organ transplant, and God, hopefully nobody has to ever go through, because you're desperately waiting while your child could die any day. Finally, an organ becomes available. You're not going to ask, is it a Republican organ or is it a Democrat organ? Is it a Catholic organ? Is it a Jewish organ? Is it a black organ? Is it a white? You're not. You're going to be so full of gratitude. That's the tone that we wanted to set with organ and tissue donation. And in the spirit of Pope John Paul II, that was his very existence. His very existence was to bring everybody together, all faiths, all cultures, all parties together to address the major issues of the day. That was his existence, and under that spirit, that's how we've been carrying the torch. And so when we arrived, the torch went through Canada. When we arrived to to Maine, the start of the lower 48 states, we continued having the same success with both parties coming out. We've had both Republican Collins and Snow come out to support it. We've had Democrat U.S. Senators Leahy, Dodd. We had Independent Lieberman. We had Governor Rendell. We had Governor Douglas. I can go on, and you can see it all on our website. Actually, if anybody ever does want to visit this, and it's all, everything is documented here. Everything that we do, right here, as you can see, are all the, and these are either governors or U.S. senators or U.S. congressmen. Like, you'll see a whole list here. So we were getting good media response, and we were getting good participation from the students, from the community, and basically in 6 short weeks, we arrived in Washington, and this is what changed me to name a new campaign. When I arrived in Washington, we met with U.S. Senator Jean Shaheen that morning at her office at the Capitol, and she told me about the Pope John Paul II Cultural Center, which existed in Washington. What I found out was that President Reagan built this building for Pope John Paul II because they worked together on many, many things during that time. And this building is a tribute to Pope John Paul II. It's got everything that Pope John Paul ever owned and throughout his whole life. You know, even the bullet that tried to assassinate him is in this building. And so when I arrived at this building, it felt like a homecoming after 10 years of, you know, traveling with this torch and following His Holiness's words. And then finally it felt like the torch arrived home. And I was warmly greeted by everybody there, and they even said, welcome home, you know. I think it was through all that emotion that I thought, well, now's as good as a time as any to announce that, you know, the torch is even going to go further. It's going to go around the world. And so what we decided to do was, at that moment, we didn't make it publicly announced. What we decided to do was to go back on the 14th, and that's what brings us here today. On the 14th at Washington, at Pope John Paul II Cultural Center, we've invited members of different faiths, from the Muslim community, the Jewish community, the Buddhist community, the Hindu community, to all join together at Pope John Paul II Cultural Center to light the torch in a symbolic gesture to the world. And it's a powerful gesture by having all these different men of faith there to let them know that this is something that there shouldn't be any religious or any kind of connotations. Life is life, and that's the statement that they're going to make. And there's 100 kids that are going to carry that torch from Pope John Paul II Cultural Center to the Capitol, the United States Capitol. And when we arrive at the Capitol, we're hoping and you know, speculating that there's going to be many members from both House and Senate, U.S. members, and from both parties arriving to receive the torch. So again, this is going to be very symbolic of having both parties together receive the torch. And that's going to mark our pre-kickoff announcement. And then we're going back to Washington on September the 9th to officially kick off the world tour. And we're going to go through 160 cities in the States. And then on September the 5th, 2011, I'm going to find myself at Vatican City handing the torch to Pope Benedict at 11:05 a.m., 10 years later. And so there's 200 countries afterwards that are on our campaign. and we'll be back in Washington to finish the campaign in 2014. So it's a 4-year campaign. So today, myself and David Wright-Smith, who was my road manager for my Canada campaign in 2000, my BC road manager, he's from BC, and he knows BC inside out, knows all the alleyways, he knows it well. And he also joined me during this part of my leg in the state. So David and I are going to jump into the truck of life and drive to the Buffalo border to get to the Washington, to begin our pre-kickoff announcement. And so, without further ado, I'm going to just briefly mention a bit more background on the gentleman here. Mr. Joe Williams is going to talk about something very, very interesting and that I'm hoping that we can fully engage with step by step in his company. And Mr. Sherman Hamilton will help him with that afterwards. And then at the end, we're going to hear from Mr. Greg Davis. So, Joe, please take it away.
Yes, good morning, and thank you, George. I just want to say how proud I am for George inviting our company and talking to our company, Innovative Hydrogen Solutions, IHS, and getting involved with the step-by-step program. I met George about 4 years ago through a mutual friend, Angelo Pucci, and I was really fascinated by George's dedication, his persistence, his perseverance. I thought I was looking in a mirror because we shared the same path in getting to where we are today. George is helping mankind. We believe Innovative Hydrogen Solutions is doing the same thing in making sure that our grandchildren and our kids breathe clean air. We've developed a Canadian technology that it's a hydrogen generating system. We use electrolysis and an onboard application to reduce emissions, first and foremost, and whether somebody wants it or not, it ends up saving fuel, and which is very timely with respect to what's going on in the world today and with the economic meltdown. So we not only can help our children, we can also help industry, in particular the trucking sector, survive. George, we are very proud to make an official announcement that we will become George's first corporate sponsor, in that for every unit sold beginning in June of this year that we have, IHS will contribute $25 to George's campaign, and within the next week we'll install one of our hydrogen systems on George's Torch of Truck of Life vehicle, because as he goes around the planet, we want to make sure that nobody is going to get ill from the fumes that are coming out, because there will be none, or very little. And IHS wants to take this opportunity as well to really thank the province of Ontario. We're a Winnipeg-based company. We are now moving our moving our R&D, our product development, to Southern Ontario and Southwest Ontario, because the province of Ontario has been the first political organization in Canada or the United States, municipally, provincially, or federally, to accept hydrogen fuel injection, which is what our technology is classified. And in fact, the Ontario Green Vehicle Program has just recently approved 2 large carriers in Ontario, and they have established very, very stringent and tough standards, which we appreciate. And we are one of, I would hazard a guess at being one of only 2 companies in North America that meet the province of Ontario's criteria for hydrogen fuel injection. And so 2 weeks ago, 2 large carriers, one we can't name for non-disclosure reasons, and another, Moe's Transport in Windsor, Ontario, have been approved, and they have accepted the grant to help put our technology on board. Now, what does it do for the province of Ontario as well as everyday people? We've entered into a supply agreement with a U.S. company as our manufacturing partner that's helping with the funding for George's organization, Salem Preferred Partners, who has a Canadian arm, Wallaceburg Preferred Partners. Our Canadian manufacturing will produce over 300 jobs in Ontario, in Southern Ontario, in the next 24 months. And that'll be done in Wallaceburg, Ontario. So we're pretty pleased and proud to be associated with George. Our technology is something that can help reduce medical costs, besides all of these other things we're talking about with pollution and fuel savings. In the early 90s, the Swedish Ministry of Transportation did a huge study, and they identified and proved that diesel particulate in trucks and buses cost the healthcare system in Sweden $2 a kilometer. That's in the early 90s. So can you imagine what that cost is today? And that's the kind of thing that we did an independent third-party study with Wardrop Engineering, and we reduced particulate matter by 86%. And so that's very significant, because that's a direct relation to how we can reduce health costs in not only Ontario, but on a global basis. So one of the things that happened in George has traveled all over the States. Since May of last year, I spent 2 weeks a month in the Southeast U.S., going into over 50 icons in the trucking industry. People think they're blue chip companies. I thought they were blue chip companies that couldn't afford to cut a check for $10,000 for a device like ours, for our technology. Huge companies, because of the economic meltdown and the credit crunch, because there is no credit for trucking companies across North America. It was great. They loved our technology, but they couldn't do anything about it because they couldn't cut a check. So we were fortunate in meeting another individual, Irene Payne, and Sherman Hamilton, who have got a company called Multisource Financial. Multisource Financial is now giving us the opportunity. Trucking companies can afford $300 a month on a lease basis. And that's why we've engaged Multisource to help us with our financing that Sherman will talk about in just a few moments. But we really wanted to thank George again. We're looking forward to being his partner in participation with this project, because it really goes, we're like-minded people in that the reward is in the giving. You can make lots and lots of money, but if you can't breathe, it doesn't matter. And so that's our goal, is to make sure that people are informed, that we can help out George and his cause, and also move a Canadian technology that we've designed and developed, turn it into a global household name, because people need it. We're a bridge. We're not a hydrogen fuel cell. We're the exact opposite. Hydrogen fuel cells take hydrogen and make electricity. We take electricity and make hydrogen in a very safe and affordable manner. And again, I want to thank the province of Ontario for what they've done. I want to thank George for having us here today. And we really look forward to, well, one of the things in creating jobs, our U.S. partner has agreed with us. We won't manufacture in China. We won't manufacture in Mexico. We will manufacture in depressed areas of the United States and Canada to create jobs. So we will truly be not only a green company, but a feel-good company, and we're very proud of it. So I thank you very much, and
Thank you.
Look forward to lots
Very
of good
good,
things,
Joe.
and turn this over to Sherman.
Thank you very much, Joe. Us at Multisource Financial are definitely excited about this opportunity to partner with IHS as well as Step by Step, and to be involved in trying to make this planet better. We have over 80 years of experience in terms of the leasing industry. We're very excited about the quality of the products that we're dealing with. We feel IHS has a product. It's Canadian. It's something we believe in. It's all of us that have kids understand the value of breathing clean air and what we can pass on generational wise. And I think at this point in our company, we feel that this is the right thing to do. For Step by Step, we're very excited about the fact that we're going to be able to partner with you in terms of bringing your goal and your dream across the world. I think overall, from Multisource's point of view, we're about making this planet better. And I think that's a common thread we share. And the fact that we'll be able to help in the leasing aspect of the IHS product and be able to help move that product forward and get it to the globe as quickly as possible, we're very, very excited about it. And I appreciate this opportunity. And I tell you what, to hear what you've done so far has been an inspiration. Having some issues in my family with transplant situations, it's very, very encouraging to know that you're taking this path and doing what you're doing. And at Multisource, we're extremely, extremely excited to be involved in some aspect. And we're here to help, we're here to partner, and we're here to make everything happen that you need to happen. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm sensing a theme that we're moving into an era when we're not totally obsessed with money and making physical grabs for anything we can. We're trying to start to love the planet and love ourselves, and I'm very proud to support George in his quest to continue that that theme. I'm very honored that George has chosen, or George has named his torch after my brother. It's a very very proud thing for us to be involved in such an such an endeavor, and we're very excited that George is continuing once again to go around the world. It's almost become a regular thing with you, hasn't it? It's all, the mileage you put down. Last September, I was inspired by George in many ways, and I did a bicycle ride from Guelph, Ontario to Montreal to raise awareness for organ donation, and George was very instrumental in helping that come along, so thank you very much for doing that. And now I'm going to support George in this endeavor, and hopefully I'll be coming to join you down in Washington, D.C. in September to give you the great big kickoff for this really, really big event. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Okay, so we have some time, lots of time for questions, and my feeling is, and like I said, we were going to ad-lib this, I think this would be an ideal time for all of us to do a nice shot with the torch afterwards. You know, but we can't do it on the grounds. We have to go to where the McDonald's statue is, facing College. So it's just a little walk. So the regular place. But if you have some questions.
Personally go with one-on-one.
Okay, so we can right now break, and we'll do our one-on-ones when everybody's ready to make our way out. Perfect. Thank you very much. Everybody was